Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kara here with another Guardian Tales video, and in today's video I thought it'd be fun to take a look back of all the good, the bad, and the not so good of 2021 in Guardian Tales. So core points of the game, and I'm going to try to keep it positive and slightly go, like later on in the video I'll go to the parts that I wasn't a fan of. But the first big one that I'm being able to auto repeat, a massive time saver, and was definitely necessary, not only for saving time but just in making it an enjoyable experience to log on and get stamina. It was ridiculous on how often I would just have to set the phone down and just let it autoplay. I don't think this game is built for that. There's some games that really excel on that and really like that, like Raid Shadow Legends for example. That's a game that having the sim option, like simulate battle option, would be kind of a bummer, and a lot of enjoyment is like making the battle faster, whereas this is not one of those games. And I really like that they added this. And then not only did they do that, but then they made evo farming significantly faster, and it really needed to be. And so it used to be you would get a lot less evolution stones per attempt, and over here too, this is a big increase, is what they did with these boxes. It used to be you would only get 2 of these boxes instead of just every element, so it was a lot harder to get extra evo stones for these heroes to be able to max them. So I remember in the beginning it was very long and very time consuming, whereas now it's way faster. It's still long, but significantly faster than what it used to be, and I think it's in an okay spot. I wish it was faster because there's still the whole idea of hero crystals and stuff that it makes it very tough to max these heroes, especially heroes that are not like super game changing. They don't really have a good method to be able to support that in this game. It's like you really have to be careful on who you fully max, but at least they're helping out the evo stone grind, making that a lot faster. Now let's talk about the main content of the game. I would say that's campaign first of all, and I think that's probably the best part of the game for me. I really like where they're going with the current story here, from leading off of season 1 to season 2. I thought Demon World was amazing. I love the whole how they were able to make it like this open world style map, where this was great. This is the kind of stuff that I think universally everyone that plays Guardian Tales likes the story. The only issue is it's just not fast enough, and I hope that they're going to be improving it, or what they're doing is the reason why it's slow is because each campaign is going to be just as in depth or maybe even bigger than how chapter 12 was. And I really liked also chapter 13 or world 13. I think that one was a cool story. There's a lot of mystery there, a lot of, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to really go into it, but just the direction of the story, especially after how dark, even though this is a pretty dark story, it's surprisingly dark in my opinion, but I felt kind of bummed after, especially world 9. That one was weird, and then going into world 10 and 11, but this one didn't feel nearly as depressing in my opinion. Like I enjoyed the story more, even though both stories are actually pretty dark, especially the Lilith Tower one, but still it's a surprisingly mature story that I enjoying. I think everyone's enjoying. The only drawback is it's taking too long. Other main content in my opinion is going to be the multiplayer. So Colosseum didn't really get changed at all, nothing really to talk about. Multiplayer, they did add a lot of stuff. Arena hasn't changed, except the meta has changed. Master Arena, I still feel like this is a pretty big failure in my opinion. I do like the concept. I like the pick ban system. Coming from League of Legends, having a pick ban system is fantastic. I wish there it was a little bit more in depth. The big thing is the rewards need to get better, and then I also want, I think that's the main thing, is that I just want the rewards to be better and motivate people to do this more. Give us a new currency, give us something to work towards to make this better. But for the most part, I like it, because at the moment people are just queuing in, and then they just are going for they'll just take a loss just to make sure that they can actually get the rewards, get their attempts in, but that's it. And the fact that people are willing to do that and not push for the top ranks because the rewards are not good enough, I think that's a pretty bad sign in my opinion. Just quickly kind of my thoughts on that, but overall the gameplay I think is actually kind of fun. Co-op defense. So fundamentally, when it comes to co-op, I just have a weird relationship with it, because it's the first thing that where you can actually directly team up with people. But I feel like just something like this in a game should be the hardest content in the game. It should be very difficult. It should be something that's always open, and you can just team up and have to conquer this specific thing. Maybe they have a weekly reset where you do these dungeons. Like I'm thinking, like farming in Destiny, where you go through and it's like a nightfall, or it's like a really hard heroic raid. You go through and you beat it. But how they're doing this one is it alternates. So there's the concept of alternating. That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down that I don't like. But the rewards are just bizarre in the sense that they just give you a little bit and you have to use multiple heroes. I do like that they encourage the use of multiple heroes. I feel like that same concept can apply in my idea of it, but I want harder content that you don't have to do that often, but it's always available, and you could just run through it. But something along those lines where there's a new currency or something really hard, because this should be the hardest content in the game. It's the first thing where you actually get multiple people to go through, and I would absolutely love for that to be something that it's like, I would love to be encouraged to either have an endless mode, kind of like doing heroics in WoW, or just some kind of way, or just something really challenging and it doesn't constantly keep improving. Because, you know, imagine if this kept improving and we keep pushing it, and we could get to level 90, level 91, 92, and you just keep pushing the bosses harder and harder, and then you find a team that can actually beat it. Something along those lines. I don't know. But something where it's like I'm encouraged to like find the best people, go on Discord, and actually communicate with them. Because right now you could just mindlessly run through it if you have anywhere close to like, in-game or, beginning of late game gear. It's not going to be that hard, which is just weird to me for something that, in my opinion, should be some of the hardest content in the game. Then there's the whole idea of just, I don't like the limited windows. The limited windows just really bother me. But overall, I'm really glad that they added it. Like that they're actually going on their way to add something like that, because games like this, getting the real-time co-op, so some games will just never even touch that. And the fact that I don't want to sound like I'm upset with it, because the fact that they actually did that is great. It's just I wish they would implement it better. It would be a lot more fun if it was more challenging and had more upside on the harder, in my opinion. Like where there's something always to work towards. Like, for example, kind of a weird, like Orbital Lift is cool because there's always something to work towards. This is weirdly hard content, but this is the kind of hard content that I think is a little, I want this kind of never ending challenge to shoot for, but not like this, where, where it's like you just RNG your way through. There's like a really hard map that you could barely beat. You finally squeeze it through after attempting it 20 times. Don't like that. But at the same time, I do like that there's always a way to increase. You're not just stuck, or you just don't have nothing to do. You always have something, unless you're one of these very few select people that are all at 707 here. And I don't know if just no one could beat this, or if it's actually capping at 707. I'm not sure. I've never really asked, but at the same time, this has always been something that's just a never-ending challenge that I wish would exist in something where you get to team up with your friends and actually play the game Guardian Tales instead of it being an auto battler. And then next here is, even though overall those parts of content in Coliseum and Arena, those are some of the staples of the game, the new stuff they added could be better in my opinion. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about that. And then next, they added Guardian Base Camp and then the Exploration Forge. Guardian Base Camp, in the beginning, I was a little worried about this. I thought this was going to be a massive whale thing where they were just going to keep moving it and they were going to make the Guardian level go up and up and up. But it seems like they're happy with 300, which I'm okay with. I think based on how long it's been 300, and they said they have no plans to increase it. I like that. But it is a slippery slope that they can end up making a massive disparity between people that are free to play and people that are spenders with the Guardian Base Camp here. Like, let's say it goes to 600 or something like that, and then it's like an 80% attack increase. It's like, good luck unless you have a ton of exclusive weapons or a ton of unique heroes to ever be able to compete there. I want to quickly touch this. I don't want to get too negative when it comes to this, but I feel like when it comes to these games, I want options in my gear choices, and merch adding that adds that, but how they're implementing it, whereas normally in games when you get new content, they add something new and then they monetize the new thing. But the worst kind of monetization is time gate monetization. And what they ended up doing is they just made this little mini game, but the only monetization they have is the time gate when it comes to this, because it's too easy content. Whereas ideally, what people do to monetize things is they make really hard content like a raid, or like, for example, in Raid Shadow Legends, they made a Hydra boss, and it's indirect monetization because people want that. They now have this challenge where they need all these heroes, stuff like that. So it's like, oh, here's this new content, and people are willing to spend because they want to compete with this new content. But here, it's just all time time based because it's new content. They need to be able to find a way to monetize those pieces of gear that they're giving us. But the only way they could do that is by monetizing the time it takes to be able to get it. So no one gets to actually have fun and try this stuff out unless they spend a ton of money. So no one wants to, it's just that they really dropped the ball here on that, because a lot of this would add a lot of diversity and a lot of strategy to a lot of these heroes. But if I can't sit here and look at this, like here, let's go here, and on the merch, like, wouldn't it be fun to be able to try, you know, have Invader Mothership replicas? Or do I want more healing here with on hit, heals all allies by 25% of heal? Or do I want to be able to do damage to tankers or something like that? And then also, even if we had the option to have all of these, there's still not enough options. They just haven't even bothered because it's only massive whales that can get these anyway. But then if you double the options and also, you know, would have to make it massively more accessible, it would be a lot more fun to try stuff out, and we'd have a lot more potential options in different game modes based on all this content here when it comes to just gear, all this gear in general. So probably my most disappointing thing here in the entirety of 2021 is this whole Forge thing, because it's not true content in my opinion. Yes, there's a little mini game there, but that's not content. It's not playing the game. That's just a little mini game. Then they did the worst form of monetization in my opinion, which is like purely time-based monetization. So not a fan of that. And then rating, all the same, they just kept changing the bosses. It's good content, but there needs to be more. Yeah, Reservoir Snakes, this thing right here. And I feel like this is almost a hit. I do like that they're adding stuff like this. This is pretty in-depth. Conquest, so Guild Conquest. I think this is pretty in-depth. They're almost there, but it needs a lot of changes. There's a lot of work to be had with this, but at the same time, the fact that they're thinking this way, I feel like this is a big thought that they didn't really nail it in the first attempt, and it looks like they've really delayed it for a while. And then the fact that it's taking this long means they realize that there's issues with it. And then I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt there, because they released it. It was a little weird. Some of it was good, some of it was bad, but they're holding off. And then I'm hoping the redesign will be better, because speaking of redesigns that were better, I would say the initial version of Camazone was a little rough, where it's a great resource for people. You get a lot more currency and in-game stuff, but in the beginning it used to be you would only be able to go through each attempt once per hour, and then if you used up all your attempts, you just have to sit there. I don't like that version of all. I really like what they did with this. Like, for example, season 10 here, it's from December 27th all the way to the 24th of January, but then each round lasts 3 days. So you have 3 full days to be able to play this, and you find the time to be able to play it. Something like this, I wish they would implement just across the board, instead of stuff like Arena, stuff like co-op, where it's like you only get 1 hour on the day. I like these big open windows, but then stuff changes after that window. And I think regardless, that's just fair. If you can't make that window, then that's on you. I wish they would do that more. And I think that's one of the bigger increases here. And then we got another guaranteed increase coming here soon for more challenging content. And I think we were just getting to that point where most people are, not most people, but a lot of the top players were getting kind of bored of this. So having another floor here is going to be great for the people that are at that position. But for everyone else, it's encouraging that there's going to be that next level to get that next challenge kind of thing. So I like that they're doing that. I think Camazone, even though it's not like the premier content of this game, I think they did a good job with it, and they have also increased it well in 2021. That's pretty much my thoughts on all the major points of this game. I feel like there's a lot of potential for it to go to be a lot better. The thing that I'm absolutely most excited about in 2022 is going to be the custom multiplayer. I really want this to be a thing ASAP. Like, I'm really excited for this, because you know, the potential of doing custom games and trying stuff out and just being able to play with your friends, amazing. So I'm really glad this is happening. If there's one thing I really hope that they add, is going to be a spectator mode, which I highly doubt that they will, but you know, that's you know, my hope for it is that people can just find you, or if there's a friends list or whatever, they can just hop in and watch you. But that would be great. I really, actually, now that I think about it, I really don't think that's even possible to be implemented, because there's no true friends list. It's all just, don't see that happening. But in general, just the custom game mode is going to be awesome. And then also, obviously, the next thing I'm excited about is the campaign. I think That's one of the better parts of this game, and more campaign the better. I just wish it was a little faster, I think, as everyone else, but that's gonna be the next big thing I'm excited about. We have the collab coming here shortly. That wasn't on the roadmap, but those are the two big parts of the roadmap that I really liked. There is also the side thing that the cam zone's getting a little better, which I like, but for the most part, those are the big ones where it's custom arena and campaign. I think I'm gonna end it here, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about Guardian Tales in the year 2021. I feel like they started off strong and it kind of didn't really end well, but at the same time, it looks like we have a lot of encouraging things to think about here in the future. So with that, guys, I'm out. Peace.